Joining us, Mr. Arun Nallawadi, Chief of Programs, Livelihood, Magic Bus, India Foundation.
43 years of total working experience, 30 years in corporate and now 13 years in social sector. Had the privilege of building the livelihood space, um, uh, livelihood operations in Magic Bus, so I manage the livelihood operations. As Magic Bus today, we had an amazing journey. So today we are one of the largest non-profits. A lot of our supporters are sitting here. Thank you so much for all of you who have supported us. I can see a lot of faces here. So we operate in two spaces, adolescent and youth. In youth, we currently do 3,25,000 young people. We train them and we place 80% of them in jobs. So truly, it's a scaled operations. And out of that, what is very relevant is 1,35,000 will be skilling them in AI and placing them in jobs. In adolescent, we work with an outreach of 40 lakh adolescents across India. Couple of our strong beliefs are that we believe that basic digital skills and now AI skills is fundamental for having a sustainable livelihood. We are a very big practitioners of life skills, employability skills, which consist of now AI and digital literacy. And also we are a very, very strong practitioners of gender. And proud to say that we are about 3,200 employees, and we have the best, what we call as place to work in this tag in this sector. And very, very proud to tell you that we have just built with our own resources in-house the first AI agent to learn and teach English to the young youths. I believe this is an innovation will take us forward. And I think one of the things which we have sort of zeroed down and say that digital literacy and now adding on to that AI literacy is a key to ensuring a lot of these young folks and men transit to sustainable life. And I think we've seen a lot of sweet spots, a lot of intent, and a lot of conviction in these convergence making happen. We truly believe that the CSR funders and the CSR philosophies, CSR policies of the donors should align to the government priorities. And I think because government stands for the masses, and CSR is, I think, a good platform to support the government for implementing some of these priorities. And we see that a lot of corporates whom we are connected with and we have partnerships are very, very vocal in saying that if you want to work with us, you need to align and tell us what can you do and how do you work with the government. And I think that intent and is clearly visible across all the spectrum. And I think that is very good. A lot of sweet spots we've seen. For example, let me give you some very, very clear examples. There are a lot of sweet spots. Recently, with one of the large donors, a very iconic brand, FedEx, we have launched a program for cyber security awareness, which is today, I think, the need of the hour amongst the community. And then we've tied up and went to the government. We went to the MITI, and they said, please work with us. And we have tied up with them, and we're getting a lot of traction with CDAC to implement this project. The second is we are in discussion with AI Mission, and they're saying, come talk to us and see how you can drive AI for masses. I think the key is for AI for masses. You go to Nan Mudan one in Tamil Nadu, the skilling board, and they said, come work with us for ensuring that digital literacy and life employment is done, and they're opening up all colleges for us. And I think this way forward, and I think we need to just make sure that as CSR donors, as non-profits who have the last mile connect, we should go back to the government and say, we are wanting to work with you. And they are opening the doors, whether it's Niti Aayog, where we work with them for rural entrepreneurship to create that digital literacy. I think this is the way forward, and we see a lot of sweet spot. and we see a lot of intent in the government, and I think it is producing results and producing a large impact in the last 2 3 years where we've been focusing. And just let me tell you that from the beneficiaries' perspective, we've seen these young kids who are in colleges in tier 2 and tier 3, in tier 2 and 3 and 4 towns, who haven't even heard the word called AI. And when you introduce them this whole prompt engineering, it's amazing the way they create use cases. It's amazing. And when they go to the employers and they get a job, they change the processes. And I think that's the power of technology. It gets them to get to build that resilience and self-efficacy which is lacking in them, and produce that value for which they then get recognized at the employer, and they get embedded in with the employee, with the jobs which they have. And I think that's the inclusion we are talking about. If you see, the entire social sector has really changed. I think almost all nonprofits today have got some technology platform or the other on which they store the data. On the other hand, the CSR law says that CSR law states that all projects above a certain amount needs to go through audits and social audits, etc. So I guess, and today there is so much of data flowing, beneficiaries data, financial data, and nonprofits work with very frugal platforms, unlike the corporates. So I guess as all stakeholders here, we need to seriously address this. How do we protect this data? Whether it is an Aadhaar card information, whether it is your place of work, a place where he stays, or the mobile number, how we were to make sure that those data is not sold or it's not misused. So I guess, and there is other angle is the hacking itself, which can destroy the entire platform. So we in Magic Bus are a very technology-driven organization, obviously without which we can't scale. And we are fortunate that we have a strong IT department, and some resources, not all resources, where we try and build firewalls, build strong social cloud platforms to protect this data. But as someone who is a very active practitioner in this sector, we believe that this is an issue which we need to address. And I think I strongly recommend, and there is a lot of audience here who are all a part of this sector, that we really need to form a collective with like-minded organizations, funders, practitioners, technology providers, and see, if first of all come out saying what is that standard we need to adhere. We know Government of India has a very strong personal data protection policy to which all of us have to adhere to, but how do we define what framework, what standards we need to follow with frugal resources which we have, okay? So through Jugaad innovation, okay? So that everybody understands that this is the minimum framework you need to follow, and then have donors to say that if you want to support any organization, you have to make sure that that minimum standards of data protection is there within all organizations, and have like-minded organizations come and build capacity for those non-profits which still haven't got to that level, so that all of us benefit. Because today in the world, digital is good. It brings in efficiency, it brings in everything, but we know digital also has the negative part of that. And I guess my strong recommendation is that we had taken a step of forming a collective, so we know how collective work. We had a similar problem. We are the biggest practitioners of life skills. We saw big impact of life skills in the scale of work we do both in adolescent and in youth, but the standards were not there. And then we formed a collective. We led the collective with like-minded practitioners, and what it resulted is in clear definitions of what life skills is, and it formed a part of the national education policy. And today, I think there is a huge group of people who are practicing life skills. In the same way, I think we should come together through a collective to form these standards and drive this practice in the like just like we did in the corporates. All corporates follow very big standards, otherwise you don't just exit. Yeah, so thank you so much for me having a part of the panel.